Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Prerna. I'm the Marketing and Events Coordinator here at the BBB, and I will be your moderator today. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join today's webinar, Tips for Setting Up Your Company to Work Remotely, presented by Kevin McLeod, founder and CEO of Yardstick Services. Now, a little about Kevin. As founder and CEO, Kevin leads all strategic business decisions and oversees the direction for Yardstick, including sales, marketing, and account management. His unrivaled vision, coupled with his leadership and determination, keeps the company and our quality of work first rate. Now, before I hand over the controls to Kevin, please note that this webinar will be followed by a Q&A session. Therefore, we encourage you to ask questions at the end of the presentation by using the question function. You'll find this at the bottom of the webinar control panel. We will also provide you a recording of today's webinar with the presenter's contact information in a follow-up email. Now, without further ado, I'm going to pass on the controls to our presenter, Kevin.
Thank you. That was a wonderful introduction. Really appreciate that. So guys,
Thanks.
I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to start presenting shortly here. I have a very casual presentation style. So if you guys have any questions as we're going along, like Perna said, just type them into the questions area. On the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see a little drop down for questions there. You can type them in there. And I'm going to do my best to spot them, but Perna, feel free to interrupt me if you see one that I miss. Okay, let's get started. So hopefully you can all see this. Move this out of the way. I'll put it over there. Okay, guys, so how to manage remote teams. And I'm well aware that you're all quite busy right now. Some of you may be multitasking. It's totally fine. Do your best to pay attention. Again, if you have questions, fire away. So our agenda, I'm going to do a little introduction. Then I'm going to get into talking about company culture, systems and software, security. I've got a few bonus tips, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So the introduction, I think Perna captured it all there, but just to give you guys a bit more of a written intro, I'm not your typical web person. I've got an undergrad in plant biology and ecology. I was on a path to become a doctor at one point in my life. Then I decided to go into business and got my MBA, and now I'm doing a bunch of support throughout the Lower Mainland. I support Small Business BC, the Better Business Bureau, Vancouver Executive Association, and I live in Port Moody with my wife and 2 kids. So I have 2 businesses. I won't pitch you guys on anything. I know it's a sensitive time, but just so you can know a bit about my background. I run a digital marketing company, web design digital marketing. We build websites and we execute digital marketing campaigns. And then we also have an offering that we've spun off and created, which is just around WordPress security, which is quite a resilient service right now, and one that's in demand despite the fact that we have all these issues going on in the world. So I'm focusing a lot more on security right now, and a lot less on web design, to be quite honest. So let's talk a little bit about remote teams, because I've managed my remote team for the better part of a decade now. I've learned a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes the hard way, and I've also learned a lot from other people who are smarter than me and manage remote teams as well. And the thing that I found that you first have to do is you got to have a great company culture. And that starts with hiring and employing mature people. I'm not talking about old people. I mean mature people, people who are able to work from home and who can essentially be self-disciplined enough to get stuff done without having their boss looking over their shoulder. The unfortunate truth is not everyone can work in that reality. Some people actually need to have their boss looking over their shoulder to do work. So I quite often have to hire people, see how they do, and then if they're not working out, I've had some really talented people, skilled people who just can't handle working from home because they're just not that kind of person. So you do have to be very conscious as a business owner about who you're hiring and letting go of people that just don't fit this model. That's kind of my overarching advice for the whole presentation. Good people make it work. The compensation model supports that. We've had a mix of different compensation structures in our team over the years. We've had salaries, but as long as the salaries are attached to some sort of team goal or team bonus, it tends to work pretty well because then they're motivated to work together and support the team. If they just give someone a salary, there's a likelihood that they will slack off or underperform because they're just not incentivized to, and there's no one watching them. Hourly workers with a time log is my favorite structure because then they only get paid for the work they put in. They can work when they want, they can work where they want, but whatever time they log is what they get paid for. We have a few people who are contractors in our team, and they work either for fixed fees for a set of recurring tasks, like an administrator. If you're outsourcing some of your administrative work, you can actually get that for like a few $100 a month. And we have subcontractors who perform a set of tasks on projects where it's a set rate. Say, we're giving you $2,000 to develop this website, and here's a scope of work, take it or leave it. And so that kind of model works really well because you can control your costs really closely. Whatever your compensation structure is, make sure you've used an employment lawyer to draft up your agreements with your team members with proper severance clauses that align with the Labor Standards Act. Flexible working hours. One thing that you have to get used to is it's not an 8-hour day anymore. It's a 40-hour work week. And that's the biggest thing I think business owners have to wrap their heads around. It's not 9 to 5. Your team's going to put in their 40 hours or whatever, 20 hours if it's a part-time role, but they need to be able to go walk the dog or take care of that ailing grandparent or maybe babysit their kids all day where their other partner is out at work. Whatever it is, that balance between work and life is key. And it's one of the things I've found actually helps us retain employees more than giving them raises or perhaps incentivizing them in other ways. Giving them that freedom is incredible. It's really valued by people. And then the only thing that we require for our team is that they show up for occasional meetings, video, during the day, which is some meetings with our team and some meetings with our clients. And that's it. Otherwise, they're free to do whatever they want. And we're very flexible at scheduling those meetings around people's availability. And we have shared calendars that we can all see each other's availability so we know who's available at what time for booking meetings. Meetings and scrums. You guys all know this guy. He's been in front of us quite a lot recently. Particularly during times of stress or when there's a lot of intense projects or work going on, it's nice to have a scrum regularly. Some businesses do it every day. I know software development companies that do it daily. We do it every Monday morning, 15 to 20 minutes. The purpose of the scrum is just to make sure everyone understands what their goals and responsibilities are for the week. We usually let everyone else go around the room and say what they're doing. And most importantly, as the leader, it's your job, if you hear anyone say, I can't do this, or I'm stuck on this, or I need help with this, remove those barriers, make sure people have what they need to do their jobs. And then every Friday, our management team meets for 1 hour just to discuss what's happened during the week and what we need to do next week to keep things moving ahead. Again, we book our client and project meetings with our team during working hours. And then I highly recommend managers and leaders take the time to do little one-to-one check-ins with every single team member. Just see how they're doing, making sure they're not feeling isolated or alone, making sure they understand what their role is right now and their duties. Also clearly communicating the goals for the company and what they're trying to do with their plans. And yeah, making sure that everyone's on the same page, because you don't have that ability to just look over at your colleague or put your head around the cubicle and see what's going on in another department or another area of business. Very important. Openness is also really important. You're going to find, especially if you've gone from a really close-knit team working in an office to a remote team, people are going to feel a lot different, alone, isolated, especially people who aren't married. I've got kids, and if you hear them in the background, you have to forgive me. But, I have kids and a wife, so my house is never empty. I'm never alone, but some people are. They could be alone working from home, and it could be quite hard. Mental health issues could potentially come up. So make sure you're clearly communicating your goals and also checking with all your team members and asking if they have concerns. To help with this, we actually created a virtual water cooler in our company. We have a Slack channel that allows everyone to post anything from cat pictures to pictures of their family to funny jokes, as long as it's not politically incorrect or has anything that's offside. I'm fine with it as a business owner. And then what we sometimes do is we randomly schedule one-to-ones so that two teammates who maybe don't see each other much, we force them to have a little coffee or lunch via video chat. And I highly recommend that. Obviously, if they're hourly workers, you as a business owner got to pay for that time for them to do it. But in terms of them just connecting and being a more cohesive team, it's very valuable. People start to know things about what's going on in their personal lives. And, oh, my kid just got accepted to this thing, and my son's playing football and he won a game, and all this cool stuff that goes on in people's lives that we wouldn't know about unless we had an actual lunchroom or water cooler to gather around. And then I also encourage our team to arrive early to some of our scrums and meetings, because that's kind of a nice time for us just kind of mingle and talk a little bit prior to the exact start time for the meeting. Communication norms. You guys all know this guy, Norm from Cheers. Norms in this sense are the things that you adopt that are kind of your standards, your kind of cultural norms. What we've realized in our company is that there's certain language we use internally to talk to our team that differs very much from the language we use when we talk to our customers. And so normalizing that and coming up with some kind of the guidelines or rules for that and teaching people that early on helps so that you don't mistake some, internal tone with a customer. Emojis, we use them. I like them in moderation. What we use them for is when we have a Slack channel, a bunch of people are posting comments. And for those of you that don't know Slack, I'll actually just open it up right now and show you ours. We have channels that for everything in our company, from all of our management discussions to all of our clients. And I'll open up our water cooler here so you guys can see. Let's see, there's our water cooler. This is Slack, for those of you that don't know. It's a wonderful program for chats and discussions. And our little water cooler here is our team posting little jokes and pictures of a giant plant growing in their place. And sometimes we use emojis just to respond and say, hey, yep, I've read this, or a check mark. And emojis are good because they're quick and easy. You can click on them, done. Our team also has abbreviations for our client names, some of our products and services that we've all agreed on and understand. And then the one thing I love is if you're using Slack, it's wonderful to not have to send email internally in your company. So all these conversations that are happening in my business, we don't have any emails between our team members. It all happens in Slack, and it produces a really nice history of the conversations. And I find it incredible to be able to watch all this and see how my team's communicating. And I don't really have to say much. I think they're doing a great job. I'm like, great job, guys. And I can see everything that's going on. And wonderful for me as a business owner to be able to check in like that. SMART goals. Everyone's heard this acronym: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. If you're working with a remote team, it's very important that everything that gets delegated to your team members keeps that in mind. You want to make sure that your team understands what they have to do, when they have to get it done. Is it reasonable? Can you actually record that it's been completed? We like to use some software. I'm going to get into software later that we use to project manage all of our clients and projects. And then there are some great CRM tools as well, customer relationship management software, for those people that want to track all the interactions with all their clients and all the different sales and everything that's going on with their customers. I highly recommend this. It's challenging sometimes to get people to track their time, but when you do it, and it's adopted company-wide, it creates incredible transparency and accountability. If you track everyone's time from the CEO on down, and I'm not talking about tracking every single detail of the day, but like if I was doing this presentation, I would track this time as, say, marketing or sales maybe. And that's kind of just a general category to capture those types of activities, or maybe it's business development, I don't know. And then we have another category for R&D. We have categories for all the different things we do in our projects. We have a category for administration. So all of our team members can track their time according to certain categories. And if you also have a project management system, you can actually attach tasks to those time entries. And that makes it so that everyone in the company is accountable to each other, even the CEO. I'm the worst in my company at tracking my time, I'll admit it. But when I do and my team sees it, they're like, wow, awesome. Kevin's out there hustling. He's trying to bring in new business. He's talking to the world and doing his best to try and support us during this crisis. So it's very helpful. And it also helps you really capture your cost of goods sold, how much money it takes in terms of labor to produce your products and services, and then how much time you're spending on non-revenue generating internal tasks. And when you look at that really closely, you start to really question certain tasks. Are they necessary? Maybe even certain roles. I hate to say that, but we've gone through this with our company and realized certain things could be outsourced as opposed to being internal to our company. Very helpful. And then announce wins. This is really important right now. A lot of people are struggling. A lot of businesses are struggling, but there's still really great stuff happening out there. Maybe someone saved a key account or made a sale or solved a problem. Anything positive that's happening in your company, you have to make an effort to announce it and announce it publicly with your entire team. Share that success, share that win with the entire team, and make that employee feel really good about the hard work they're putting in to support your company. That can be done in Slack, but it's actually better done during meetings when everyone's listening and hears it, so that employee knows that everyone's heard it and been recognized. Really important. Any questions about company culture up to that point? I'm looking over here because I have a second screen, guys, so nothing so far. Awesome, guys. So now I want to talk a little bit about systems and software. These are some of the tools that my company uses, but I've also put in some other tools that I've had experience with or that some of my clients and colleagues use as well. Again, Slack. Slack is an amazing product that really unifies teams and makes communication more efficient, and also allows you to see a history of communication that you wouldn't otherwise be able to see. Again, I'm just going to show you our Slack channel. What can I show you here? We have one for staff holidays. We've got a general channel where people are posting some fun stuff. We have security outages. We get notified if there's any major issues going on in the world in terms of security. We put that there. I've got a marketing channel for our team. I've got a mid channel. I have all of our clients listed here, and then direct messaging with each of our team members. So again, no email, just Slack internally. It's amazing. In terms of project management, we use this product called Flow, which is really well designed for software development and web development companies. Some other ones that we've had experience with, Asana, Trello, Basecamp, they all kind of do the same thing, just in different ways. And it's really what we've found is about the features and user experience of these products that differ slightly and make them a better fit for certain types of businesses. The key with project management software is it's kind of the hub for the company. It's where you put all your tasks, including those recurring, redundant admin tasks like payroll and collecting receipts and all that boring stuff that has to happen. It all gets put in the project management system, and as the owner of the company, I can see everything that's going on in every department and every project of our business. And at certain times, I can chime in on a project where I know there might be, say, a client who's not responding because they're super busy. I might say, hey, team, do you need me to touch base with this client? Is everything okay with this project, or have you guys got it? So it's a really wonderful way just to manage your team and keep everyone organized. It also gets rid of all that email clutter that can happen. If you keep it in a project management system, email becomes redundant. The one thing I will recommend, and someone else taught me this, you have to make sure you're assigning tasks to one person only. And that makes sure that you've got the proper responsibility and accountability for every single task. If a task is assigned to more than one person, whoever, I don't know, that person, I thought they were going to do it. You're going to hear a lot of that, especially with remote teams. So assigning one person per task is absolutely essential. And then time tracking, like I mentioned before, we log all of our time. We use a tool called Harvest. There are other time trackers out there. I track my time most often to business development, sales, a little bit of R&D, and some admin, maybe. But our other team members are tracking things like website design, development, search engine optimization in our business, maybe some security stuff. So we have all sorts of different expense categories that people can log their time to in Harvest. The good thing about some of these project management systems, most of these ones actually, is that they actually connect with Harvest. So when our team sees a task in Flow, there's a little timer button they can click when they're working on that task. They just click it and they go to work. Click it off and they're done. And then that logs their time for that task automatically in Harvest. It's a little bit tedious that they have to remember to click that button for every task. But other than that, it's super easy, really straightforward. And then there's a lot of solutions for shared email, calendars, files, all that sort of stuff. We use G Suite. We have some email inboxes that are shared by our team, such as our info at inbox. And then we have obviously individual emails for most of our team members. Some team members don't actually even need email because they're not interacting with anyone outside the company, but most of our team members do have an email address. And Office 365 is another one that a lot of our clients use. And then we've used to use Dropbox. We've kind of decreased our usage of Dropbox in lieu of G Suite, but we have some clients who just don't have a Google account for whatever reason, so we have to share documents with them using Dropbox. The one thing I will say about file sharing, in general, just trust your team. Don't try and be too secretive about anything that's internal to the company, except maybe if you're that type of business, your year-end financial statements or something really high level and important. But most general documents relating to your products and services you should be sharing with your team, in my opinion. But always make sure you have backups. We have had situations where team members have accidentally deleted something, or maybe they've edited something and we had to go back to a previous version. G Suite, Office 365, and Dropbox all have the ability to go back and look at previous versions or restore. Really important. Video meetings. There's lots of great products out there that allow this to happen, and this is an essential tool when you're working remotely. You have to use video. I'm going to mention this again later, but like 60 to 80% of communication is nonverbal. And so it's not good enough when you're a remote team to just use audio. So that's why these products are doing quite well right now. We've used Whereby, Zoom, and GoToMeeting. They all have different features and user interfaces, so pick the one that you're comfortable with. And if you're really concerned about security, I'm not going to say anything specifically about any of these in regard to security, because I think there's a bit of false press as well as real press being circulated out there about them. But end-to-end encryption is what you're looking for, and making it so that even someone at the head office for, say, Zoom can't spy on a conversation that's happening. We don't know 100% if that's true for all these products, but ultimately, if you're really concerned about security, I know my colleagues at Sun Life Financial actually got Zoom, but they set it up on their own servers and they have their own hosted proprietary version of Zoom that they control. And that just creates end-to-end security on their servers within their infrastructure, and they're really happy with that. For my business, I'm not as concerned about security for our video conversations because we're talking about typically web design, images on websites, words on websites, maybe the menu items, sitemap. It's nothing really incredibly confidential, and quite frankly, we're building websites that are publicly facing information anyways. So it's not like we're talking about stuff that's going to be kept secret. So choose your product depending on your needs. There's lots of good ones out there. And then one thing I've noticed is that the people that do the best at video conferences are the ones that look right into the webcam. That's basically eye contact when you're on video conferencing. So looking at the webcam actually makes people feel like you're looking at them and you're more engaged. Now I'm bouncing around because I'm looking at my slides. I'm also looking at my second screen, but I'm doing my best to also glance up at the webcam every now and then just to make eye contact. And then there are delays on video. If this was a meeting, I would sometimes get in the habit of saying something and then pausing and waiting, just because there might be a delay or a bit of lag. Online scheduling, this might be my favorite little tool, Calendly, because of the amount of time it saves me booking meetings. So what I've done is I've got a Google Calendar that has all of the details of all my appointments and everything. But I've also set up Calendly. I'll show you guys here. Calendly.com. Actually, I'll just go right to there it is. I've also got these different meeting types I've set up in Calendly that allow people to book time with me. And I'm actually offering 30 minutes of complimentary marketing strategy with people right now. And it's out there. Anyone who wants to book me can go to calendly.com/Kevin McLeod, and you can click on the COVID-19 marketing and talk to me about your digital marketing plan and how we're going to market your business during this crisis. 30 minutes complimentary. And what I've done is I've synced this up with my Google Calendar, so it only shows meeting times that are available based on the rules I've set in Calendly and other meetings I've got in my Google Calendar. It's incredible. I've got the ability to send out a link to people and just say, hey, yeah, look at my calendar, book a time. That takes me 10 seconds, and they can spend 15, 30 minutes figuring out what works for their calendar and maybe calling some colleagues, and it's incredible. I highly recommend it. And I think the free version gives you the ability to have one meeting type. So if you just want to have your calendar synced and give people that ability to book you, free. Pretty awesome product. I also love RingCentral for our phone system. There are other solutions, voice over IP kind of virtual phone systems. RingCentral I found has the best feature set and really good service. Most of the service is from the Philippines, and I found that to be actually really good service. English speaking, really good quality service, solving problems and providing solutions. We have all of our team members set up that answer the phone. So we have one office line, and then that office line rings various cell phones in our company. And so even though people are working remotely, they can use their cell phone as if it was a company phone. And there's an app you can download on RingCentral, and it's brilliant. It has more features than I'll ever use, but the ability for us to leverage people's existing phones is incredible. Confluence. Confluence is our knowledge base. So project management software is where you keep all your tasks. Your knowledge base is where you keep all your step-by-step processes, your best practices, your standard operating procedures. How you do everything is kept in a knowledge base. We use Confluence, but there are a lot of other ones. The thing that we like about Confluence is it's really intuitive and really easy and quick to edit documents in there. And we can drag and drop anything, a link from the web, a picture from our desktop, drop it in there. And we can essentially set that up so that a task in our project management system is linked to a step-by-step process in Confluence. And then even our newest web developers and designers know, okay, I got to do this, and then I got to click that off and save this thing and do. And then that also ensures that we're delivering a really consistent experience for our customers and our clients, but also delivering the same level of product when we're building websites every time. It's incredible. Highly recommend it, and I can't say enough good things about this company. Their parent company is called Atlassian, and they are one of the best, I think, one of the best managed and run software development companies in the world right now. Incredible business. E-signatures. You don't have to do this. A lot of people still like sending PDFs, or they might even mail paper documents right now, but if you want to get things moving fast, if you're concerned about cash flow, and you want to get sign off on things, strike when the iron's hot. As soon as someone says, yeah, I'm ready to move ahead, boom, send them a document they can sign electronically. You're not going to be able to do it in person anymore. So HelloSign, DocuSign are the big two that we've used. You have to do a little bit of work to set them up, and you might do some work setting up the templates for your contracts in HelloSign or DocuSign. But once you've done that, it's as easy as filling in their name, their email address, and maybe a little bit more contact information that you want in the contract, and clicking send. It sends it off to them, and they can sign it electronically, and it is legally binding. It's awesome. It's also really easy for your admins to see who's viewed it, who's signed it, which ones are pending, so you can monitor the status of all your documents as they're moving through whatever pipeline you have. It's awesome. The first time I saw this is actually when I bought my house, and my realtor used it, and it expedited the sale of the house and also the transfer as well. It was awesome. Accounting. I don't know what every company is doing right now in terms of their accounting systems that may have been internal to their business. Really hard to switch accounting systems. So I bet there's a lot of companies that are using that have their bookkeepers and accountants logging in through a VPN to a server in the office and then doing their accounting through that VPN connection. But there are online solutions for businesses that need or that can switch to it, or are simple businesses that don't need to have really robust, complicated accounting practices. QuickBooks Online, we use that for our general ledger and all of our reporting, and I still use FreshBooks as a legacy product for us, but I still use it for sending off invoices to all of our clients. Both of these products allow people to pay their invoices online. They have differing rates they charge for credit card processing, so you have to be cognizant of that, but otherwise, great products. I don't know where QuickBooks Online is at right now, but the one challenge I knew about, this is probably going back 3 years now, is that it wasn't great at managing inventory, like warehouse inventory. So anyone who's got inventory, you may want to check to see which product can handle that. But for most service-based businesses, QuickBooks Online can cover you. Very good product. And then take full advantage of whatever features and functionality your bank offers. There's a lot of really wonderful features within, say, the Van City app or Scotiabank app. I know CIBC is really progressive with adopting new technology. Yeah, check out what the app can do and what you can do online. The one thing that I know I've had challenges with for my business is allowing our administrators to see certain things and do certain things in the account without giving them full signing authority. And it's been more difficult than I assumed it would be. I thought there would just be a login and they could look and see if an EFT has come in or not. It wasn't until recently that Van City had that capability. So I don't know about the other banks, but that's the one thing I've noticed is challenging. But otherwise, if a client mails a check, we can take a picture of that check on the app and it gets deposited. So we literally don't have to go to the bank anymore. We pay all of our team members by e-transfer direct deposit. Very little paper moving in our business at all. It's pretty nice. And then LastPass, I'm going to say my most essential tool, perhaps not my favorite, but it's an incredible product that allows us to save all of our logins in one place. It's stored securely. It's all encrypted. We have about 1,000, maybe 1,100 logins that we manage across all of our clients. But our team members, when they're logging into any website or asset that our clients own, only see star, 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 dot, dot, dot. And when they log into LastPass, as well as some certain products of our own, we require two-factor authentication, or two-step verification, or dual authentication. Those are all the same way of saying that when you log in, you also have to have a notification come up on your phone or a text message sent to you to verify that you are really you. More often than not, it's a text message with a 6-digit code. But if you want to work more efficiently, there's a couple great applications like the LastPass Authenticator. Here it is. Oops. LastPass Authenticator. That's a great little authenticator app. And the other one that we use is the Google Authenticator, which I'm not going to show you because it's got all my numbers for all my verification codes here. So two-step verification is really important. I'm going to get a little redundant on that shortly, but it's super important. But LastPass is a product we use for storing passwords. There are others. Again, it's just a different feature set, and then perhaps different locations where their servers are, where those passwords are stored and encrypted. Any questions up to that point? Feel free to type it into the questions area, or even the chat area is fine in the webinar. No, perfect, guys. Thank you. So last section here is maintaining security. We're a very security conscious company, and so we've gone a few steps further than some other businesses might. But I do recommend you take security to mind, because when your team's working remotely, it does open up opportunities for bad people to do things, unfortunately. Again, LastPass. I'm going to beat this to death, and I beat it to death with all my clients as well when I see them saving their logins and spreadsheets. Or I have one client who literally has a black book, a little black book with all his logins written down in pen. If he drops that black book on the sidewalk, his business is hooped. So yeah, save your logins in a secure place, share them with your team, and set up that dual authentication. And set up the dual authentication on not just LastPass, but also some of the things people are logging into using LastPass. So for example, our team will log into LastPass and they can get access to a whole bunch of logins. And then maybe our administrator might log into like our main Gmail account, Google account, or our company email. Well, she has to do 2FA on that second login as well. And that just makes sure that some third party can't log into our main email account or perhaps some other vital system in our company without having that verification on their device. There's also keys, little USB keys you can buy that do the same thing. Whatever it is, as long as there's 2 steps, this is what Google does in most of the big software companies in the world. The 2-step verification or 2SV, it's incredible. I highly recommend it. It takes a little bit of setup, and then once everyone gets used to using it, it's really painless. And then the one thing I like is enforcing strong passwords for all of our team members, which is randomly generated numbers and letters, not your kids' names and birthdays for your password. And if you save those randomly generated numbers and letters in LastPass, you're never actually going to even remember any of your passwords, let alone forget them. And then set an idle time that makes sense for your business. I think we've got a 60-minute, maybe 90-minute idle time for our company, which means that if anyone leaves their computer, maybe someone goes for lunch, and after 60 minutes or 90 minutes, they're going to automatically get logged out of all your systems. And that just ensures that they're not going to have a lingering connection to one of your key systems while they're off doing something else, walking the dog or whatever. Your IT person is probably the best person to ask for advice about some of this stuff because they're going to know your systems better than anyone else. Make sure you talk to your team and educated them on phishing and malware. It's really common right now, and I'm disappointed to see how the increase in spam and just really bad emails from people right now. People are taking advantage of people's unfamiliar or discomfort with working remotely, or perhaps working on new devices or in new places or unfamiliar settings. And so more people are clicking on weird links in emails and opening attachments. That creates all sorts of problems, malware and all sorts of bad stuff. So talk to your team about phishing and malware. Don't click on those links in those emails. Don't open those attachments. If in doubt, just call the original sender and say, hey, what is this? If you don't know the original sender, that's probably a good indication that it's not legit. Again, talk to your IT person. They're going to probably have some additional solutions to make sure your team is protected, including antivirus and malware software, and of course, backups, goes without saying. I recommend providing them to your team if they're working remotely on their own computers. Just give them a little subscription to Sophos or Norton or whatever antivirus program that they can install on their computers. Some companies are providing their team members with laptops and devices, and I know some computer stores are actually sold out of laptops because of how many laptops were needed, especially laptops with webcams, to support all the people working from home right now. So again, ask your IT person for advice. A good IT company will actually set it up so they're monitoring all the devices and catching things before the users make these mistakes. And use the latest browser. Again, a good IT company will set up all the devices with the latest browsers, Explorer, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, etc. The old versions of Internet Explorer, for example, used to be really bad. They were full of security holes, and they used to really mess up the appearance and user experience of websites. So we recommend that you talk to your team about that. If they're using their own devices, don't allow them to use old browsers. Some companies actually block access to their systems. They do a browser check, and if a user is using an old browser, access denied. So talk to your IT person about that, and talk to your team members about that. Insist on secure internet connections. No free Wi-Fi in coffee shops. If need be, offer your team members VPN, virtual private networking connections, which allow them to have an encrypted connection to a server so they can then connect to the internet or perhaps even do work directly on that server. Again, this is an area that your IT person would be the best person to talk to about. Then here's some bonus tips I came up with as I was kind of writing this presentation and talking to people over the last little while. So they're not in any particular order. I'm going to fly through these and then we'll open it up for questions. I recommend dressing for work. This is actually a shirt that I would wear if I was going out networking. I don't wear ties too often. Sometimes when I'm presenting in front of a room full of people, I might wear a suit, but dress the part, lead by example. It's important to have that feeling that you're still at work, and you're not just slacking off and being at home, being lazy, right? It's also important to have a dedicated workspace, whether it's a corner in some portion of your apartment. I actually have a room. This is my room in the house. It has a lock on the door. When I'm home, then my whole family understands I'm home, and I eat my breakfast, kiss my wife, hug my kids, and then I walk down the hall, and that's my commute. And physically closing that door psychologically sets my mind, okay, I'm now at work. And it's separate from all my living spaces. If your living space and workspace gets mixed, it gets really hard. Trust me, it's really hard to maintain that discipline and really feel like you're at work. I've also set up some rules in my family, and those are my two lovely kids, my son, you, and my daughter, Julia. My son just turned 6. I'll tell you a little inspiring story. We didn't know this, but all of his friends, moms and dads, decided to have this little parade of cars come by our house. It was 2 days ago. It was like 7 or 8 cars parked in our cul-de-sac, and they all honked their horns and sang happy birthday to my son, a little COVID-19 social distancing birthday party. And then they drove off. It was wonderful. But we do have rules in our house, regardless of COVID-19. There are barriers in our house. My door has a lock. I ask my wife to text me or email me if it's not urgent. Don't knock on the door. Unless it's an emergency and one of the kids needs help, yeah, of course. But effectively, when I'm in my office, I'm out of the house. And when I come out of the office, I'm home. And as long as we have these rules of engagement with our family, I seem to be able to maintain a really good balance between work and life in the house. And I think that's important. But every family's going to have their own rules of engagement and way of dealing with that. Require video, again, 68%, 80% of communication is nonverbal. And your team, as a leader, your team needs to see you. And your team needs to see each other. We only allow audio if someone has a bad connection. And so they just can't, the video's just cutting out. Then we'll say, okay, go audio, it's fine for this meeting. Otherwise, we require video for every meeting. And then as an owner, you have to make sure you're managing the business appropriately. And the old saying is you can't manage what you don't measure. So make sure for all your departments and all your team members, you've got some shared KPIs, key performance indicators, and goals for your team, and measure them. Make sure you come up with a way to measure them, even though your team's remote, and then overshare the performance of all those metrics with the people that need to hear which metrics are relevant to them. For our general manager and project manager, she'll see everything. For some of our developers, they just want to know where we at with certain sales and how likely is it for them to get more work coming into their pipeline, right? And so we try very hard to keep our team updated on everything that's going on in our company. Some people feel strongly about this and others don't, but I'm in favor of profit sharing just because it seems to align people and motivate people to support the business and not just themselves and their role. The best profit sharing models I've seen are based on when a management team sets a profit pool. So they'll look at the retained earnings at the end of the year and say, okay, we can take this much out of the retained earnings. That's our profit pool. And then from that profit pool, everyone gets a share based on a formula. And the formula that I've seen used for a lot of businesses is, okay, how long have they been with the company? Up to a year. Like if they're still a new employee, maybe they get a fraction of a share, 0.5. If they're a full tenure, is everyone from a year on. Impact is, okay, low-level new technicians have an impact of 1 versus high-level salespeople and managers might have an impact of 3. 1, 2, 3, depending on different roles in the business, different levels in the company. And then the one thing that we use to balance it all out, because we have some contractors as well as some employees, is we use the hours logged to determine, okay, you've worked this much this year. your impact is this, and you've been with us for half a year or maybe a year, this is how we calculate your share. And that big number that comes out of that formula is basically turned into a percentage that's used to calculate their share of the profit pool. It's really cool when you do this. I think team members really appreciate that they have a stake in the business without giving them, shares in the company. It's nice. This is something that employment lawyers would say this is discretionary. So it's not something you have to write into your contracts and employment agreements per se. And it's something you might want to adjust and play with depending on how your business is doing. So we're trying it out right now. Actually, ironically, just launched our profit sharing plan in February, and then now all this is happening. So our team members appreciate it, although we may not hit some of our goals this year, so we'll see what happens. And then, if you're sitting around twiddling your thumbs and you just don't know what to do and you've got 5 minutes, write a positive 5-star review or go on LinkedIn and endorse someone or write a recommendation for them. It could be one of your team members, it could be a supplier or a customer, anybody within your network that you care about that supports your business in some way. This is a great way to support them. And it's honestly something that's getting a lot of visibility right now too, because people are spending a lot more time online as opposed to doing things in person. So reviews and recommendations and endorsements are a big thumbs up. We do criminal records checks, which are actually called police information checks on all of our team members prior to hiring them. I've never had someone come back with a criminal record check that had an issue, so I'm optimistic that this is just something we have to do to just maintain a certain level of standard for our employees. But I have had stories of other colleagues who've gotten through the hiring process and said, okay, last step in our process is just this little police information check. And then literally that person never calls them back and never emails again and disappears. And so right away, oh, that person's got a criminal record and they're not a good fit for this business. And thank God I asked. And so I think it only costs like $70-$80 at a local police station. The employee or the person you're potentially hiring has to go down, request it, and then they can then give that to you as the employer, just to make sure there's nothing on their criminal record. We make it mandatory for new hires, and we reimburse them for that cost. And then have fun with your online profiles. We use Bitmojis and sometimes fun stuff to create little caricatures for ourselves. And yeah, have fun with it. It's nice to have a picture instead of like the letter K for Kevin associated with all my online profiles, like my Flow user or my Slack user, which I can just show you guys Slack here. So there's me in Slack, right? And so it really helps our team to see, oh, Kevin posted that right away. Boom, there's Kevin's face. And research and development, you might see, no, nothing there. Staff holidays. Yeah, you might see some more faces popping up in here. Sales. Yeah, there's Debbie, our project manager. So yeah, we've adopted some standards for just how we set up our profiles, which makes it easier for our team to see who's talking about what as they're scanning through a page. Okay. So that's it for the presentation. My overarching message, aside from making sure you're hiring really good, mature people, is that this is really good for the world. It creates happier employees with higher retention. They're more productive, lower overhead for the business, and no more commuting for all these people that don't need to commute. Some people obviously have to go to the work site, or they have to do business at some location. That's fine, obviously. But for the people that are just pushing paper and all these people that are working on computers and offices, we really don't need them commuting. It's better for our planet. So I hope more companies come out of this crisis thinking, hey, maybe I can allow more people to work from home. So I've got a great team. We've been in business for 14 years. I'm really hoping to keep all these people active and working. We're doing our best. This is my one ask of all you guys. My pitch is that it's obviously a sensitive time to do marketing. I find that my clients, the ones that are doing the best right now at getting their message out, are the ones that are trying to help. And that's my message to you guys, is I want to help. If you guys are struggling getting set up with remote teams or need any additional advice, I'll show you my contact info at the end of the presentation. You're welcome to reach out to me. My ask in return is that if you have any inclination to do an advertising campaign, There are deals like crazy right now for online ads. All the major players are pulling their ad budgets, which means because it's a bidding system, all the costs of advertising are dropping dramatically. Think about personal injury lawyers who used to advertise ferociously for people who get in car accidents. How many car accidents are happening right now? The cost for that advertising space is dropping like crazy. So that's just one example. There's lots of other examples where the ads costs are dropping. So we are setting up campaigns for clients, and we're setting up what I call sensitive ad campaigns or empathetic ad campaigns. But just we try to strategize how we can market a product or service during this sensitive time and still generate business for our client. So if you're interested, we've reduced our price dramatically to help support businesses, but also kind of just keep our team working. So if you're interested, reach out to me. I'd love to help with that. And we also have a security business. If you know anyone that has a WordPress website that might be having issues, we can help them out. Our rates are usually lower than most of the major agencies in Western Canada at managing, maintaining, and securing WordPress sites. So that's it, guys. And I appreciate you guys allowing me to throw in a couple little plugs there at the end. The last thing I will say is I want to thank the BBB for allowing me to do this. And the Better Business Bureau is one of the most recognized symbols of trust in the marketplace. If you're not already a member or an accredited business of the BBB, I highly recommend it right now. Businesses that are trustworthy, that are seen as trustworthy, will do better in this market than those that are not. And the accredited businesses with the A+ rating are the ones that are going to do well and survive in this current market. So again, if you want to talk to anyone about becoming an accredited business, Perna's still on the line here and she can answer any questions you guys have about that. So that's it for me. I want to stop. I've gone a little bit over my original timeline, but I think we're still okay. Does anyone have any questions about that? Anything to do with remote teams or the Better Business Bureau, anything?
Some great information there, Kevin.
Thank you.
Like Kevin said, we've opened the floor for questions. So please use the questions tab or the chat function, and I'll read them out for Kevin, and he'll give you some great ideas and tips.
Thank you. Is this presentation going to be available in some format? Was it recorded or anything, Perna? I forgot to ask.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, this whole session is recorded, and we'll be sending a follow-up email to all the attendees with a copy of the webinar.
Great. I'd love a copy of that too. I can circulate that online and generate more interest for the Better Business Bureau as well.
For sure.
Perfect. Okay, guys, I'll just sit here for a few minutes. If anyone has any questions, feel free to type them into the chat. Otherwise, I wish you all the best of luck. I think it's going to be a really interesting time coming out of this crisis, but what I feel like is it's going to make the businesses that come out of this stronger, better, leaner. I'm also thinking that Canada as a whole is going to come out once again as a really leading nation. We seem to be rallying around our scientists and experts and their advice much better than our colleagues down south, with much less division between political parties. There seems to be a lot more unity. So I'm very proud to be Canadian right now, and I think all of you should be as well. So hopefully, when this is all said and done, Canada stands once again as one of the leading leaders in the world during crisis. So I'm optimistic, despite what's going on. Okay, guys, I see a few people dropping off. It's totally fine if you want to leave. It's all good. So I'll just show you guys one other thing here while we're lingering around. LinkedIn. I don't know how many people are using LinkedIn heavily right now, but highly recommend it. For those of you that aren't on LinkedIn, there's LastPass, filling in my password. Pretty awesome. Use LinkedIn to connect with people, have conversations, post content. What I've seen the best people doing is instead of starting a post, they're actually writing articles on LinkedIn, full articles. And the articles themselves are getting more traction than just a simple post. So think about what kind of content you can post online to help support people. And that's another great way to get your message out there and just be a good person. You'll see if you go to my profile, I'm Yardstick CEO in LinkedIn. And there's an article I recently wrote that I'm continuously adding to as I have conversations about remote teams. And I'm asking people for all sorts of endorsements and recommendations. Good people are writing good things about each other right now to help support each other. So get your friends and colleagues to write good things about you on LinkedIn. It really does help. And if anyone wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, feel free. Okay. Well, if there's no questions, I think we'll probably just wrap it up.
Yep. So yeah, looks like there are no more questions. Thank you so much, Kevin,
Thank
and
you.
yeah, all your wonderful tips. I'm sure they are helpful, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of follow-up emails as well.
Sure.
So we'll pass it on to you. Plus, your contact details are available in
That's
the
right.
presentation. So
Yeah.
that would be great. So this is the end of our webinar session, everyone, and thank you again for joining us today. Once again, I'd like to inform all our attendees that we will be sending a copy of today's webinar along with Kevin's contact information in a follow-up email. On behalf of the BBB and Yardstick Services, I wish you all a wonderful day. Stay safe. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, guys. Bye, guys.